Good evening. You are listening to the first casting, the first streaming, the first uploaded episode of Nights of a Psychopomp Groupie. And I am your hostess, proprietor, producer, witch. And I welcome you and thank you for listening. You might have stumbled upon this, I don't know where, but thank you for finding me regardless. This started off as a blog, as most things do. I am usually journaling or writing on my own, but a lot of people asked me questions, so I decided to just start writing about my experiences online. I started doing that a few years ago. Some blog posts were pretty popular, some weren't, and that's okay. But I decided I wanted to expand my experience a little bit. And so I started the show. But before I get into that, I think we need to define first, for people who are not familiar with the blog or the term psychopomp, what exactly is a psychopomp? That's kind of a weird word. I'd never really heard it before, and which was surprising because I have a degree in religious I have a bachelor's of arts in religious studies and another in humanities, and I'd never heard this term before. What is a psychopomp? And so I did some of the research a little bit and found out that the word is something that describing pretty much my whole spiritual life, to say the least. A psychopomp refers specifically actually to a deity or a spirit type in which can traverse through the worlds easily. A psychopomp is a guide that helps other people as they're going through transformative experiences. They are border crossers. They can walk between the worlds, shapeshifters, tricksters. They're very mutable. Good examples of this are Hermes, one of my patrons. He is a guide of the dead, Psychopompus, and he is also a messenger of the gods, bringer of inspiration sometimes, ideas, but he's clever. My matron, Hecate, she is as well. She is a psychopomp in that she can travel throughout the different worlds as well. And she is a leader of the dead in a different way than Hermes, but we'll get into that a little more later. Another is Kronos. He is known as the sitter in the doorway. He is the hunter and the prey. The hunter and the hunted, I should say. And this neither kind of liminality. I think Odin is one too, if I recall, but I'm not real familiar with the Norse pantheon. I should be because of my heritage and blood. I must admit I'm a little behind on the Celtic and the Norse, Northern European gods and goddesses, which will bite me in the end, I'm sure, because I do a lot of deep ancestor work, and that's a whole nother topic, of course, but that's pretty much what a psychopomp is. And the reason I call myself the Psychopomp Groupie is because at one point I noticed pretty much all the deities or gods or even bodhisattvas that I work with, that I have relationship with, that I make offerings to, that I pray with, that I perform magic with, and sometimes in the name of, they all have this common theme of being psychopomps. And that, I thought, okay, that doesn't, okay. Some people are like that, I guess. Like, there's the people who, maybe they're into goddesses of love and beauty, and they tend towards those or something. I don't know anybody else really who does this whole theme, but I noticed this recurring theme. And then I thought about it too, like from an atheistic perspective, what does that say about me? Because if this is my higher self, if deity with a capital D is higher self, then what do all of these psychopomps have have to do with me? Okay? Does that mean that I'm somebody who just sits on the fence, that I'm neutral? That I don't stand behind something, or maybe I'm flighty, don't stick to one tradition? You know, I've seen a lot of people like that, or groups like that have their Goddess of the Month club. Like, oh, okay, this month we're going to do Aphrodite, and oh, next month it's going to be Freya. You know, or this month it's going to be Oshun. You know, how do you develop real relationship with these deities if you're just jumping from deity to deity every month? So before I get to know a deity, I get to know them first. I spend some time. I do some reading. I do some meditating. I do some seeking out. You know, sometimes they come to you, but you still have to do these things. Otherwise, I mean, it would be like, you know, having a person, I'm going to have a dinner in honor of my friend Georgia. And I'm going to invite, you know, and I'm going to invite all these people that don't know her to introduce her. You know, that's fine. But why would, like, or, but what they're doing is like, okay, I'm going to invite Matthew McConaughey to my house tonight and invite all my friends to come over and meet him. I don't know Matthew McConaughey. None of my friends know him either. So why would I invite him to my house like that? No. I'm probably going to have to get a hold of his agent. And then, you know, after talking to his agent for a while, you know, try to convince him, hey, we're having this dinner in his honor. You know, maybe it'll be a fundraiser. I'll pick a thing that he supports and we'll sell tickets or something, you know. But I make the effort of trying to establish contact first. And I think that's the proper way to approach the gods, to approach spirits, to approach deities, because they're separate. If you believe, as I do, that you're polytheistic or panentheistic or whatever theistic you want to call yourself these days, people don't seem to get the terms right, but if you have this relationship with them, then develop it. Develop a good relationship with them. Then you can invite your friends over to meet them properly and do proper, you know, proper introductions. Don't leave your guest of honor mingling among people, not knowing anybody. I just feel that if you treat the deities with respect, or spirits, or even the dead. This is true of all of it. You know, whether it's of your kin or your blood, doesn't matter what your dead are, your ancestors. I'm not going to just introduce them to anybody, you know, and I'm also not going to just assume that because we're related, they want to talk to me. It's the same thing. You have to develop relationship. And that is what I have done. That is why I don't have altars all over my house. That is why I don't do Goddess of the Month every full moon. You know, even if I was teaching, and this is why I don't teach anymore. When I was teaching, I had a coven where we were all learning together. Everybody wanted their goddess, their month. That's fine. If you're bringing your goddess in for us to introduce us to them, cool. But don't pick one you want to learn about and then decide we're all going to invoke her. You know? So I got a little bit of a tangent there, but I wanted that to get through because my relationship with my deities and the spirit guides that I work with and the dead that I work with have been culminated. They have been taken care of, tended well like a garden. You know, I've weeded out the bullshit and just, you know, gotten down to the bare minimum of what is needed and then gone up from there. So when I say that I work with Hecate, that means I work with Hecate. That means I stopped reading books about her. And I stopped talking to people about her sometime, you know, for a good period of time. And I just spent time with her. Deep down in those dark places. And I got to know her. And I got to know Hermes as well. My Lord Herm. he's there too, you know. And the matron I had for many years, I only worked with her, the Bodhisattva Tara, and all her 22 aspects. I worked with her for years. I worked with nobody else. I get to know the one before I move on. So that is part of the psychopompic experience. That, yes, I am mutable and changeable, and my perspectives change very easily when new knowledge is brought to light. I know I'm wrong. 80% of the time I am wrong. But that means I'm growing. You know? And what I do is not the end all be all. And it shouldn't be. And so as I am, so is this show. The show is going to grow. It's going to change. I'm just going to go with the flow of it, because that's what I do as a Psychopomp Groupie. And in that atmosphere of liminality, it is my intention to create this podcast as a voice for people we would not call big name pagans, people who are out there in the world doing the work, who are evolving, who are changing, people who are making discoveries, people who are experimenting with different techniques and tools of our trade, people who are maybe just self-published and haven't really been picked up by any big name publishers or distributors, and giving a voice to them. It's nice to talk with people who aren't as intimidating maybe sounding, or have this knowledge and maybe not really come on the show to share it with us, but maybe talk about their experiences. And so maybe we can learn from their experiences of what to do and what not to do. So, there will be an interviewing part to this podcast eventually. I have some people lined up. It should be really cool, but right now I'm recording in my walk-in closet, because it's a quiet space that doesn't echo, where like a little womb in the center of the house, with my cat Raven. I did not name her that. She is 18 years old and all black, except for now she's got all this white gray stuff, fur on her chest and her underbelly, because she's an old cat. But she is probably definitely my familiar. I did not choose her. She chose me. My ex-boyfriend brought her home one night, and she was the last cat of the litter. And he was a magician, a prestidigitator, and a close-up magician, so he does card tricks, those kinds of things. And he would, put the cards out and say, pick a card to the kitten, and she would choose a card. So that was his criteria for bringing her home. And she was pretty much his cat. That's why he named her Raven. I wanted to name her Sable, because she was so soft and so black. She was so cute. But she was kind of a brat. She's still a brat. But she's got an attitude, and she's always trying to fight other cats. And it kind of stinks, because she's a terrible fighter. She gets her ass kicked every time. And so I don't encourage her to fight because of that, and for various reasons. But she's been hurt. She's been through a couple fights. She's a tough kitty. And when this ex and I broke up, he was supposed to keep her, but said he didn't want her anymore. So I ended up taking her, because I didn't want her going the pound. And I've been with her ever since. And she just chills in here she likes to, this is her safe haven away from the 5-year-old and all the outside world, her little area. She's got this owl that she likes to, what we call, make bread. She puts her paws on it and fluffs it up and digs her claws in. And right next to it, she has her scratching board. which is cardboard, and she loves it. I've tried buying the fancy ones, and she's not really into those. She likes the plain cardboard ones with the catnip in them. Got to put that catnip in there. She loves it, and she's sleeping on it right now. This is her sanctuary, so I'm invading her sanctuary to record this podcast. And I think the sound of my voice is putting her to sleep because she's out. So yeah, this is Nights of a Psychopomp Groupie. And I never introduced myself. My name My name is my own. My name is not a pagan name. It is the one given to by my father on my birth. My name is Fawn. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to give you my full name, but let's just say I'm usually online known as Witch Fawn, but my real name is Fawn, and I go by that in most pagan circles. So, but I'm Fawn. I'm the Psychopomp Groupie. And you're listening to the first ever podcast.
I am the heart and the snake is entwined about the invisible, the core of the mind. Rise, oh my snake, it is now, is the hour of the hooded and holy, ineffable flower. Rise, oh my snake, into brilliance of blue, on the corpse of Osiris, afloat in the tomb. O heart of my mother, my sister, my own, thou art given to life, be the terror typhon. The glory of ravening storm ensways me and wraps me in frenzy of form. Be still, oh my soul, that the spell may dissolve, and the wands are upraised and the aeons revolve. Snake that caresses the crown of my heart. Behold, we are one, and the tempest of years goes down to the dust and the beetle of me.
And welcome back. That was Pandemonium, a Bay Area band who travels the world extensively. Sharon Knight and her man Winter. Some really cool people. That was written by Aleister Crowley. It's Heart Girt with a Serpent on their album Dangerous Beauty. Probably my favorite by them. It's got Morpheus Ravenna on the cover in her Raven mode. It's a really great album. I highly recommend it. I'll put a link to their website. I think they have a Bandcamp site. And I'll include a link with the show on the website so that you can purchase it because it's really, really good. And I highly recommend it. You'll dig it. I like Crowley. Yeah, he's like a lot of early 90s kids that were just discovering Wicca and witchcraft. I heard the cautionary tales about Mr. Crowley and how he was satanic and he did bestiality and took all kinds of exotic drugs and brainwashed people and had his scarlet women and invoked demons and, this kind of thing. And in the 90s, we had just finished the whole satanic panic of the 80s. So we had been, as children, warned against these Satanists and these dark magicians and the white light, the white magic was safe. It was a higher magic. It was, working with the Buddhas, although that's actually what I ended up doing instead of the whole Wicca thing, because I just couldn't buy into it. I couldn't buy into the duality, a god and goddess, some witchcraft religion. I just couldn't buy it. To me, witchcraft is not a religion. Sorry. I know it's going to offend a lot of people. And I know Mr. Gardner tried very hard to do this, but it's not a religion. It's an art. It's a craft. Yes, you are born with it. You can develop it as well. But that takes a little longer. Kind of helps if you already got the blood. But some people, it's just like any other art. I can't draw. I don't know why I think, I can just pick up a thing and start painting like Bob Ross, right? No way. I can't do that stuff. But I have an aptitude for writing. I have an aptitude for speaking. But, you can't be something that you're not. But I can develop a skill. I can develop a skill. I can't develop a talent, but I can develop a skill. And to me, that's what witchcraft is. And this is probably why we have a lot of problems that we do with our community and having so many different perspectives and very individual spiritual paths. We don't have one unifying thing, except for that we're this fringe religion called paganism or witchcraft, whatever you want to call it. Because you can be a pagan and not a witch. This is true. I found out when I joined ADF. I went to an ADF ritual and boom, they weren't casting a circle or doing any magic. And I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. It's just religion. We can petition the gods. That's not magic. Christians do it every day with Jesus, and Mary, and all the saints. But, magic's something different. And I knew this even then, so I did not pursue Wicca. And I just I started looking at the conjure stuff. And this is in the 90s. You got to remember, this is the 90s before big internet happened. Back then it was just, the forums and the Yahoo groups and stuff like that, where you if you didn't know anything, you kept your mouth shut because these people obviously knew what they were talking about, right? No. They don't know any more than they do now. But, as a young witchlet, that was kind of intimidating. And I lived out here in the boonies and had to do my own thing. Didn't have any teachers around. There were witch courses, but people were charging all kinds of money. Or there was the argument of, no, you don't charge money for witchcraft, but you have to come to my house. And, that was hours away. So, what I did find was a meditation teacher. He was a man from Germany who was living near my home. He was living up on the mountain. I'm not going to say where because I don't want to give away where I am in case people hate me. But a German man, and he took me under his wing and taught me Tantric Buddhism. This in the late 90s, and I was 18. And it wasn't about sex. It was a tool. It was a technique. Tantricism is a technique. It's a very effective technique. It's very difficult to some because it requires a lot of a visualization and a lot of dedication sometimes, because when you get involved in a mantra and you're running a mantra for 40 days, every day, all day, 108, 216, it takes over your life eventually, but it's good. It's high magic, strong magic, karmic magic. And that's what I got into. But I would go to these witch meetups and stuff, and people were talking about what they were doing, and I'm just sitting there with my Buddhist stuff, and they thought I was nuts. I'm like, well, but I couldn't reconcile the two sides to me, I could cast a circle, and I could cast spells. My spells worked real good, and but I was finding a less and less of a need to cast, and so that's just kind of how it started. And eventually, I found a good teacher. It took me almost 15 years to find a good teacher that could help me reconcile the two sides, that I could do my Tantricism and apply it to Western traditions. So I came full circle. I came around full circle eventually. And I found that in Thelema and Crowley, the man that I was supposed to be afraid of, the man I was supposed to stay away from, the man who was evil and depraved and would lead me down a road of drug use and sex orgies. And no. It's all metaphor. It's all metaphor. And that's what's cool about it, is that, and you can do it. I mean, I have my theories, but I don't need that. Okay? The sex magic comes easy. It's not a challenge to me. I think I was a Thelemite in a former life or something, but it's just not. I can do it, right? And it just doesn't really propel me the way that I need. So, anyways, it's a little bit about my background and where I'm at now. So now I'm kind of a Thelemic, pagan, tantric witch. Psychopomp Groupie, so much easier to say. Anyways, here's another song. You're listening to Nights of a Psychopomp Groupie. And we're back. That was just The Goat is on the Pole by Pandemonium from their album Dangerous Beauty. Another track I like on that album. A little bit more of a punk sound, something you can jump around and thrash to at their shows. It's always a favorite. Highly recommend seeing them. They usually organize Hexenfest. The last couple years they're in the Oakland area. And I guess they're going to take a break from it this year and organize an even bigger one next year in 2016. So we'll see where that goes. I think they're playing at Pantheon this year. I'm not sure, down in San Jose. That's going to be the weekend of President's Day, Valentine's Day, February 13th through the 17th, I think, or 18th. I don't know. I'll be there. I'm bringing my mic. Maybe someone will give me an interview if I even have time. I usually so busy that weekend. I don't put on any of the workshops, but I definitely attend. I have a pretty strict schedule, and I try to attend all the workshops of people I don't know. You know, I know a lot of people like to go to the con, get dressed up in their finery and have some drinky poos and some after parties, and you know, that's all fun, but I'm there to learn. I want to learn some things to take home and use over the next year, and do some networking. I'm a master networker. I don't know why. It's like one of my talents. Maybe it's part of my Psychopomp